Good morning. Good morning.
Everyone, we are almost ready to board you on our safari vehicles, and I wanted to make certain I told you about our loading procedure.
Cover your nose and mouth and be worn at all times while in line and on the attraction. Guests that do not comply will be asked to leave. Please abide by the queue markings, maintain physical distancing, and use the hand sanitizer dispensers provided. Thank you.
Convicted participation. Expect to put your hands up and legs inside, and remember to watch your children. Your transport will be arriving shortly. Enjoy your adventure at Kilimanjaro Safari. Bienvenidos a Kilimanjaro Safari. Para su trip, you should know that the unpaved roads of the Arabian wildlife
Face on the warden, as we like to say here in Harambe, it's one day, which does mean let's go. So Jumbo friends, welcome to Kilimanjaro Safaris. My name is Kirsten. I'll be your safari guide for today's journey through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. While we are moving, please make sure you're keeping all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. Make sure those face coverings are staying on all the way. That does mean over your nose, mouth, and chin. And please make sure that everybody is staying fully and completely seated, so please, no standing. If you do plan on taking any photos or videos, go ahead and get those cameras and phones out and ready to go. We're not able to stop for every single animal, and those animals certainly don't stop for us, so make sure you have those cameras ready. But this first area that we're starting to head into right now is called the Little Aturi Forest. The animals here tend to be pretty shy, and they do like the hides. We have to keep a lookout for them throughout the trees and bushes. It looks like out to the right, pretty easy to see though, is an okapi. Okapis have really distinctive stripes on their back legs, and they almost look like they're wearing zebra pants. But they're not related to zebras at all. They're actually one of the only known relatives to giraffes. They have a prehensile tongue like giraffes do, so that means they're able to grasp at things with their tongue, almost more like a finger, helping them grab at the leaves and trees off the trees and bushes around the forest. Kind of like what's doing right now. The okapis are also very good at hiding. They really were not discovered in Africa by Western settlers until about 1901. Before that, they were just thought to have been a myth. Up here on the right, though, you can see a couple more animals. First off, a really large white bird, black and white bird. That's a saddle-billed stork. He's really about 4 feet tall, and he has about a 9-foot wingspan, which is just a foot less than a canopy above your heads right now. The large gray animals up on top of the hill are I keep switching to other animals. They're greater kudu. Greater kudu get to about 55 inches tall at just their shoulders alone. And out to the left is a black rhino. Really good view of it right now. Black rhinos have pointed upper lips, and the pointed upper lips that they have are also prehensile, just like the okapi's tongue. So they're able to grasp at things with their upper lip, just like the okapi can with its tongue. The black rhinos also tend to be a little more solitary, so you'll typically find them by themselves like this. And they're a little bit smaller. They only really weigh about 3,000 pounds, which is small for a rhino. If you keep looking out to the left, there's a few of these orangey colored animals, and those are called bongos. The bongos' horns don't really stand straight up, but instead they curve slightly back towards their heads, making it easier for them to move through the forest without getting stuck in the trees and bushes. They are also very, very good at hiding, and they do get a nickname where they're called the ghosts of the forest. But now we're gonna leave that little tree forest and start heading towards the Safi River. And as you might be able to guess from the name, at the Safi River, we're now gonna start looking out for some of those animals that would live in or around the water. Saw a hippo. It did go right back down into the water. It's on the right hand side. Oh, there it is again. There's two of them there actually. There's some in here to the left also. Oh, there's one out of the water out to the left. They normally don't come out of the water unless they're on the search for food or if they want to sunbathe. So it looks like that one might be looking around for food, but it also looks like it's sleeping while it's standing up. Whenever they are in the water when they're sleeping, if they're choosing to be in the water and like that one, they are able to hold their breath about 6 to 8 minutes at a time, even when they're sleeping. They do have a mechanism in their brain that will continue to bob their bodies up and down. They keep getting air without them even having to wake up to do so. And the large white birds on the island are pink-backed pelicans. I know at first glance they don't really look too pink, but they do turn pink during mating season, so that's how they get their name. But it's not their feathers, it's their skin that turns a pinkish color, almost like they're blushing. They also do this really weird thing when it gets a little hot for them outside. The way they cool their bodies off is actually by sticking their spines out through their mouths. As we continue through the Safi River, we are going to cross over a bridge up here that can get a little bit bumpy, so just make sure everybody's still staying fully and completely seated. Big reason why is because out there to the left are Nile crocodiles. You can tell they are crocodiles, not alligators, because even with their mouths shut, they have a very toothy grin with the fourth tooth sticking all the way out. They are able to weigh as much as about 500 pounds, and they can eat about half their body weight in just one meal. So it does mean that 500-pound crocodile would be able to eat about 250 pounds worth of food at one time. So they don't have to eat all the time. They can have that large meal, and then they're able to go a couple months before they really need to eat again. And though those crocodiles are, of course, some pretty dangerous animals, they can be gentle when it comes to their young. When it's time for their little ones to hatch, they will roll their eggs around in their mouths to help soften up the eggshells to try to make it a little bit easier for those younger ones to hatch. This time to your right-hand side, up here you're going to see this really large tree that kind of looks like it's upside down. It does get the nickname the upside down tree for the way it looks, but its real name is a baobab tree. Baobabs have a sponge-like texture on the inside that holds a really large amount of water inside them, so they are extremely useful for animals, especially during droughts. They can pierce the bark with their tusks or horns, and it helps give them water when there's none in their home at the time. So because of that, it does gain a second nickname, where you can also call it the Tree of Life. Now we're entering the savannah, or also called the Serengeti grasslands. Up here on this overlook where we are, this is one of my favorite views out in the reserve. I think this is one of the best views out here. The mornings and evenings are even the best times too. Let's try to go get a little bit closer up to some of those giraffes out there though. So it looks like most of the animal activity is going to be a little bit further out there, so let's keep heading up that way and see if we can get up closer to some of them. You see that whole group of giraffes over on the right hand side. A group of giraffes like that's called a tower. They're pretty social, so usually you'll find them in towers like that. Over to the left, inside the cave, there are some African wild dogs laying down. They can also be called African painted dogs because of the unique markings that they have in their fur. They do have some really close-knit packs too. They use their close-knit packs to pursue their prey until the prey is just too tired to continue, giving them a higher success rate at hunting than big cats like lions or cheetahs even have. They also like to help take care of their sick and their old. They'll even regurgitate food to make sure everybody has the ability to eat. The ones with the huge horns out here are Ankoli cattle. Ankoli cattle's horns can grow to be about 6 to 8 feet long from base to tip. They're huge. But even though they are that large of horns, they don't really weigh that much. They only really weigh a few pounds because the inside of those horns are basically hollow, made out of a honeycomb-like structure. The really dark brown animals a little bit further out there are sable antelope. The sable antelope's horns point backwards, so predators won't attack them from behind. They're also very athletic, and you can usually find their shape in a lot of logos and symbols for athletic companies. As we're still making our way up to the giraffes, we're going to pass by some termite mounds as well. There's this huge one coming up to the left-hand side. Those termite mounds are made out of saliva, dirt, and dung. So it probably doesn't really sound that appealing. But a lot of animals do like them, including giraffes, but also rhinos and elephants like them a lot too. That combination gets as hard as concrete. So they really like to use them basically as big back scratchers. They make some really great scratching posts for them. The termite mounds, other than being a home for termites, they also make a great place for little animals that don't really have height on their side to be able to get to a high ground and see what their surroundings are like, including meerkats. We're finally getting up to those giraffes out here. The giraffes that we're seeing are Maasai giraffes. They have the very messy like spots in their pattern, whereas reticulated giraffes would have clean, crisp lines around their spots. So it's pretty easy to remember if you think of it as messy for Maasai. We'll get a better view of them up here. So there she is out to the right, and there's several more that are going to be up ahead. Now I am going to keep going up ahead to pass her right here because you're also up here going to see the babies. The two youngest ones have just come out around the area. They're first born at about 6 to 8 feet tall. So if you are about 6 feet tall, you can look those baby giraffes in the eye. They're very cute. They're so tiny. Now one of them, if you're able to see any of their tongues while they're kind of munching around on some leaves around the grass around the area, their tongues are purplish blue color. So they don't get sunburn on their tongues as they eat up at the high points of the trees throughout the day. Oh, there's one running. Giraffes also have these tongues that get up to about 21 inches long. That's about the same length as your forearm. Not only is it super great for them to be able to reach the leaves up high, but giraffes can also lick their own eyeballs. Really beautiful view of them all right here. Here's a younger one that's going to be looking right at us out here to the left, unless she's going to cross. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So it looks like she's going to let us go now. So we're going to keep going a little bit further up here. We are going to start heading a little bit deeper into the savannah up ahead, and this deeper part of the savannah is known as elephant country. So see if we can find some of those gentle giants throughout here. Yeah, looks like over here to the right. There's an elephant. It's just on the other side of the vegetation, that really tall vegetation, of course, blocking it. Let me see if I can go up a little bit further to get you guys a better view of it. Also up to the left in the rocks, there is a mandrill. Mandrills are the largest monkey, and they're the same type of monkey as Rafiki. So they look really familiar, that's why. Let's see if you can see the elephant a little bit better right up here. Yeah, so if you kind of look to the back right, you should be able to see it just a little bit better. We are going to keep looking for more elephants out here, so hopefully I can get you guys a better view of a few more. We are seeing that one by itself. That's a pretty typical view for male elephants. They do have matriarch systems with their herds, so their herds are mostly made up of just the females and the babies, and they'll have one head matriarch that will lead them. The head matriarch of the elephant's herd is the memory of the herd, so she'll remember all the good places for them to be, especially when they're traveling. Whether it comes to finding safe food, safe water, just being in a safe place, that one head matriarch will be the one to remember where to go specifically. The males do break off from the herd as they get older, and then they stay solitary most of their lives. So you'll typically find male elephants by themselves. Though very occasionally you can find them grouped together where they make their own smaller herds together. And if they do, it really is called a bachelor herd. On the other side of the bridge, we're going to pass through some red clay pits, and we're going to look out for some signs that other elephants have been around. What we're looking for are tusk marks in the clay. Elephants like to scrape at clay with their tusks so they can eat it. It gives them extra vitamins and nutrients for their bodies. Kind of similar to children eating vitamin gummies. Yeah, out here to the right, you can kind of see some elephants have scraped up at that clay so they're able to eat at it. And it looks like several more elephants up here, so let's keep catching up to them up ahead. So seeing those scrapes in the clay actually is a really great way to show us about how conscious these elephants are about taking care of their bodies. And that does include them taking care of their skin too. They do have some really sensitive skin and they are able to get sunburned just like we do. So what they do to take care of it is to cover themselves in dirt and mud, as you could probably tell from the back of that one. They do look really dirty, but if they look really dirty, it's really just them putting their sunscreen on for the day, because the dirt and mud is their natural form of sunscreen. Let's see if I can get you guys a better view of right up here. There are several more out there. So with those elephants too, with the sensitive skin that they have, it did really help out a lot of them over in Africa. Unfortunately, there were a lot of elephants that traveled through a bunch of crops in Africa. They would trample the crops as they did that. And so farmers got upset, decided to start poaching the elephants to try to get them to stop. Not a very good solution, not really a solution at all. But due to the research studies done here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, they found out that because of their sensitive skin, elephants are afraid of bees. And they figured out a better solution about the issue in Africa about surrounding the crops with beehives so the elephants would hear the buzzing and wouldn't go near the crops anymore. A little more safer and more natural way about taking care of the issue. These more grayish animals all around us are white-bearded wildebeest. Wildebeest really love all this rainy weather that's been around lately, and they do like to migrate according to rainstorms. They'll even follow rainstorms up to about 1,000 miles per year. And they can be in a group as big as about 1.5 million of them traveling together. That's known as the Great Migration. Up here though, we're going to start going around these flamingos. These are greater flamingos. They're the largest of the flamingo species, but they're the lightest meat. If you can look out and find some of the grayish white ones with the black feathers on the tips of their wings, those are actually the babies. They just hatched in the spring. They were super tiny when they first hatched, but they're already about the same size as the adults. That's how quickly they grow. They've also lost a little of their fluffiness lately. It's been really sad to see. But they're still a great way to show people how flamingos don't actually hatch pink, but instead they hatch as this grayish white color. Then they will gain their pink color as they eat brine shrimp that gives them a beta carotene, and that's what's going to cause them to turn pink. Though they won't fully turn pink until they're about 2 years old. And they can also start vocalizing inside their eggs just before they're about to hatch, allowing their parents to become accustomed to their sounds so they know which one's theirs even after they hatch. And a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. So we just went around the flamboyance of flamingos there. This area looks pretty quiet, so let's keep going up a little bit further through this way. Looks like there could be an animal on the road up ahead, so we're going to be slowed down and stopped here for just a minute. Sometimes they do go into the road and they don't mind the trucks. They'll just stop there and stare at us sometimes. We're in their home. They know we'll stop, and we do stop for them because we are their guests. And then after that, they'll just kind of continue to move. It looks like we're going to start moving a little bit slower up here. Rocks, and these are called Kopi rocks, and it looks like there's some lions out. Perfect. So we'll be trying to get up there to get a better view of her. Lions are not diurnal animals, which means they're active during the day. They're actually nocturnal, so they're more active at night. So they are very active at night. So this is a really great view of them right now to be able to see them out walking around. Though we're gonna have to keep going around the rocks to see them apparently. They kept moving on us. So with those lions, though, they are some super lazy big cats throughout the day. They do sleep for about 18 to 20 hours per day. They're really big fans of those cat naps. So let's see if we can see them on the other side up here. Hopefully I can get you guys a good better view of them so that we can see them out walking around, because this is a really great view. This is like super late at night for them. Looks like, yes, the male's up there too. There he is. So we're gonna kind of come up here to see him. Throughout the day, the lion's vision is very similar to ours, but at night their vision gets about 8 times better than our vision, making it a lot easier for them to go out and hunt. But it won't be the male doing the hunting, it'll be the females. The male's actually the one that will stay back at home and he'll take care of the cubs. Let's see if I can give you guys a view of him. There are the 2 girls. One girl's down further, down to the bottom too. So this is a really late night time for them technically, because they're probably going to find some places to sleep pretty soon. So pretty nice to see them a little more awake right now. Early in the mornings and really late at night, sometimes they'll even roar, and whenever they do roar, you can hear it almost up to about 5 miles away. It can actually be really powerful. You just got to know what you're listening for. It just sounds like a low rumble sometimes. Sometimes even in the mornings, we can hear them all the way out to the parking lot. Now if you keep looking out to the left, there are also warthogs. Warthogs do have warts, just like their name tells you. They're really big padded spots on their faces that provide protection for their face. All the burrows in the area have also been created by them. They're the largest burrowing mammal. They will back up into their burrows after they made them with their tusks, and then they'll have their tusks pointing outwards, so they have another form of protection for them. Up to the right, you're going to see some white rhinos. The white rhinos are a little different than the black rhino at the beginning. They don't have the pointed upper lip, but instead they have a wide, flat mouth, and that's what gave them their name. Their name originated from the word white, which is Afrikaans for the word wide, not white. The white sounded like white, and that's how they got the name the white rhinos. These white animals out here are also one of my absolute favorite animals to get to see. That's a scimitar horned oryx. They can go about 9 months without having a single drop of water to drink. And they eat a lot of vegetation that will hold a lot of moisture, so they don't have to really go seek out water. They also can withstand extremely hot temperatures, even going up to about 115 degrees Fahrenheit before they even start to break a sweat. We're now going to start leaving the savannah and making our way into the Magadi Glen. In the Magadi Glen, you're going to see one of those, we're going to pass by the warden's post, and you should be able to see what one of his beak hides looks like that I mentioned back with the elephants. It looks like a hanging basket from some posts. So hopefully you'll see what that looks like to give you a good idea about what they are utilizing over in Africa too. But also as we continue through here, it does unfortunately mean we're coming up to the end of our safari. We're getting closer up to the village. But I will be giving you guys some ways on how we can help out some of those animals. One of the animals that we did see out there today that does have a lot of habitat loss issues where they lose their homes are the elephants. So if you're ever going out to get any items like chips, cakes, cookies, or even chapstick or household cleaners, look in their ingredients to see if they're using palm oil. Palm oil is harvested in the homes and habitats of the elephants, so they are losing their homes for things that we use on an everyday basis. The companies are able to use alternative oils like sunflower oil or even coconut oil, but they choose not to, so it's really sad. But now that you know this information, you have the opportunity to make that choice whenever you go get those items, to instead get the brands that are not using palm oil. You can make a huge difference for those elephants with helping save some of their homes. If you would also like to help out some of the wildlife that can even live in your backyard, a way to help them out while we all have to wear face coverings currently. If you're ever choosing to use a disposable face covering, that's perfectly okay. Just know that you can't really recycle them. So before you throw them away, cut off the elastic ear pieces. Unfortunately, if you don't, those coverings can make their way out into landfills and out into nature, and then get wrapped around birds' legs or animals' mouths, and it can be extremely harmful for them. So by doing that really easy thing of cutting off or even just ripping off the elastic ear bands can make a huge difference for a lot of animals out there. If there are any wilderness explorers aboard this truck, you're on the Simba 1, so make sure you go get that safari pack for today. If you're not done exploring, you would like to keep looking for more animals, just at the exit safaris, there is a walking trail that's called Gorilla Falls. A lot of really cool animals to see through there, like gorillas, also meerkat, naked mole rats, and you might even find some of the okapis or hippos again too. If you're going to head to Asia instead, they have their own walking trail called the Maharaja Jungle Trek with animals more native to Asia, like Komodo dragons and tigers. But before you leave, we don't like to say goodbye here in Harambe. It's just a little bit too sad and too final. So instead, we like to say Kwaherini, which means to go well. So Kwaherini to you, my friends. Hope you guys go well and have a great rest of your day exploring today at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Kwaherini.
Watch those hand turns, feet nice on the right-hand side. Doors sliding open. Kwaherini again. Have a great rest of your day.